I mean, it was my This week on Hitting the Field, we recap this past week's NFL action, talk some college football, and preview the MLB wildcard matchups. Hitting the Field starts now.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask. I just really hit the field. 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 Boy, I'm about to hit the field.
Welcome back to another week on HTF. I'm your host, Jaret Kappelman, and I'm joined by a fellow Eagles fan, Tran. Chris, how are you?
Doing good, man. The Eagles won, so it's always a good week.
Eagles won, Cowboys lost. Great week. I'm also joined by the rookie, Kyle DeWitt. Welcome to the show, Kyle. How's it feel?
I'm so excited to be on the show, and I'm glad you guys had me on.
All right, I love to hear it, boys. Let's talk some NFL action. This past week, I want to jump into the biggest upset from yesterday. The Los Angeles Rams are no longer among the NFL's undefeated club after surrendering 55 points to the 2-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In a battle between two former number 1 picks, Jared Goff threw for 517 yards in a losing effort. Jameis Winston tacked on 385 yards and 4 touchdowns to capture their second win of the season. Kyle, I know you're happy to see this result, but what does this mean for the Bucs season?
I don't think the Bucs season's really going to go as what people think after this game. I still think they're around a 7-9, 8-8 team. But we scored 28 points off turnovers, and Jameis Winston literally had the game of his life. So
He did.
So, miracle in the water.
All right, Chris, what do you say about this game?
Yeah, I mean, it was more so the Bucs got off to a really hot start and forced Jared Goff to throw the ball a ton of times. And with that, he turned the ball over 4 times in the game. And the Rams really couldn't get back in the game. And the Bucs just had control throughout the entirety of the game.
I was going to say, I mean, you've got to be set up for disaster when you're throwing the ball 68 times. I mean, Kyle, do you ever think it's okay to throw 68 times?
Especially when you have Jared Goff as your quarterback, no. And with Sean McVay as your coach, your whole entire mindset towards your offense is to run the ball and then set it off play action. That's when Jared Goff's best off play action. So, and when Todd Gurley runs the ball 5 times for 16 yards, you're probably not going to win.
I will say, yeah, Todd Gurley did have 5 yards. Chris, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a huge problem. But at the same time, if you're down 21-0 early on in the game, the running game just, it's done. You really can't go back to it. You obviously want to get Todd Gurley going early, but that wasn't the case because Goff kept turning the ball over. You were down. You had to throw the ball.
Okay, so I want to jump into the NFC West as a whole division. Whose division is this now? Do we see the Seahawks coming out? I mean, is this still the Rams' division to lose, Kyle?
I still think it's the Rams' division to lose, but I still think Seahawks come in as a wild card.
Seahawks coming as a wild card, Chris?
See, I'm really high on the San Francisco 49ers. They're right now the only undefeated team in the NFC. I mean, they were on a bye this week, so they didn't get to play, but they've just looked really strong through the first 3 games of the season. Jimmy Garoppolo is finally playing well. Shanahan at head coach, he's finally getting his guys going. And I think they have a shot to win this division between the Rams. I don't think the Seahawks are really gonna go for it.
Do you think the 49ers have a soft 3-0 record? Like the Cowboys, for instance, they had a soft 3-0 record. We saw them play a real team last night and lost. Do we think this is the same case for the 49ers?
The 3 wins for the San Francisco 49ers have been mediocre to soft teams. So, yeah, I do think it is a soft record. I don't think that they are for real.
You don't think they're for real?
No.
Chris?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can only control who you play on your schedule, and they've been beating the teams that are on their schedule, so I don't think there's any reason to knock them down. They're beating who they've played, and that's all you can ask them to do.
I would agree. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo we've seen him do it in the past, as no experience with the Patriots. But honestly, I mean, I think that division is probably the most exciting, that in the NFC North, which, speaking of, with the Bears ended up beating the Vikings. Were we surprised by that?
No, I don't think so. I still think the Vikings were off a little bit of a hot stretch, and I think they're finally starting to come down to earth a little bit. Dalvin Cook not getting as much carries and as much rushing yards as they would like, and who really wants Kirk Cousins as their quarterback?
You like to hear that, I think. No, you don't. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins does what he does in every single big game that he has to win. He doesn't win. He doesn't show up against teams above 500. He's not really someone you want as a franchise quarterback. You look at the three most expensive people in that offense, Thielen, Diggs, and Kirk Cousins. They're all making a ton of money, and they're all horrible. That offense is running off Dalvin Cook and only Dalvin Cook. And I think the Bears are really overrated, and they would have gotten a better quarterback in now that Trubisky might be out, because I don't think he was going to be able to get the job done for the Bears either.
So we touched on the West and the North. Let's jump into the South again. Let's jump into the Bucs. I really want to focus, Kyle, do we see the Bucs? I mean, you have Drew Brees, who's going to be out for a couple weeks, the Panthers, who are a complete disaster, and the Falcons, who honestly only beat the Eagles, I think, is their only decent game they've looked. Is this now the Bucs division?
I think the Bucs are the second best team in the division. I think Teddy Bridgewater with Teddy Bridgewater as quarterback, I still think they're going to go 5-1 until Drew Brees comes back, because the Saints are just that good of a football team. You saw it last night. They held Zeke to barely any rushing yards, and they only allowed 10 points. So I still think it's the Saints division. I still think it's their conference to win.
Okay,
but I still think the Bucs might get in as a second wild card if
There's
they're
no
lucky.
way. I mean, for me, the Bucs are still the worst team in that division. As long as you have Jameis Winston as your quarterback, he's not going to perform for you. Like, the arm talent's never been a question, but the decision making is horrible. He's always throwing interceptions. That team is. I mean, I'll take a Kyle Allen on the Panthers over the Bucs, and I still think the Falcons have a lot of talent on that team. The Bucs, they're not going to do anything. They're a six-win team at best.
Well, the Bucs, they are a lot better team, especially since they have Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles as defensive coordinator. He has turned that defense around. Yes, he allowed 517 passing yards yesterday, but that's also because Jared Goff threw the ball for 68 attempts and had 45 completions, so he only averaged like 10 yards of completion. And that front seven is a lot better than what they used to be. They only held Todd Gurley to 16 rushing yards.
Yeah, but
I still think that they are a better team than the Falcons. I just think the Falcons are a complete disaster at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. The talent on the Falcons, I think, is just higher than on the Bucs. And the only reason why you had that Todd Gurley only with 5 rushes is because of the hot start they got out to. They're not going to be able to do that every game. I don't see them winning more than 6 games, to be honest with you.
It's just that sometimes some teams are better on paper than others, and some teams just play better on the field than others. I think the Bucs are proving to people that they're just better on the field.
I mean, we could argue the Bucs should be 3-1.
They should be 3-1. How can a kicker that kicks a 58-yard field goal at the end of a half miss a 29-yard field goal to win the game?
Well, that's a very Bucs thing to do.
We've seen that with kickers from the Bucs for years now.
I mean, we're talking about the Bucs. Should it have even gone that far against a quarterback making his first career start?
No, exactly, and that's the disappointing thing. Like, as the Bucs, you think, okay, Eli's out of the game. We have a backup quarterback in his first start. Like, he's not going to do anything, and then you go and lose the game. Yeah. I mean, they made Daniel Jones look like an MVP that game.
I still think Danny Dimes is a for real quarterback.
They did get a win yesterday, but it was against the Redskins. Yeah. Let's move on, though. An honorable mention for biggest upset yesterday came in Baltimore, where the Browns quieted some critics and picked up a huge road win over the Baltimore Ravens. Nick Chubb and Jarvis Landry were like a two-headed monster, wreaking havoc all game long. The two combined for 350 yards, and Chubb took it to the house for an 88-yard touchdown, the longest run for a touchdown this season. Chris, are the Browns back?
No, the Browns aren't back. I mean, if anything, I want to pump the brakes on the Ravens a little bit. They beat the Ravens yesterday, but the Ravens they came off a big win against the Dolphins, beat the Cardinals by a touchdown, and then lost to the Chiefs, and now the Browns. I just think that says more about the Ravens than how the Browns are. I don't think they're back. I don't think they're going to win the division. It's a weak division as a whole, and the Browns, they just won a game, but I don't think it does anything in terms of the long run with the division. They're not back.
I do agree with you on that, but I just don't think that – I do think the Browns will win the division just because of how weak that division is. If they're in any other division, they would be a mediocre wildcard team.
Okay, so we're saying that this division's, I would say, wide open.
Yeah, completely.
So, but is this like a fluke for the Ravens? Are they going to get back on track, Chris?
I think so. I mean, Lamar Jackson has been pretty good he's been surprising to me through the first couple of games of the season. The Browns, I expected to come out shaky just because there's a lot of talent, a lot of egos, and I didn't think they were going to be able to manage it, and it's clear that they don't have a good offensive line. I mean, Baker's been running around his entire life through these 4 games. I think the Ravens get back on track and end up winning the division. I just think the Browns, they have too many issues on the offensive line, and I think that team's just going to fall apart down the road because they have a tough first half of the schedule.
They do have a tough first half of the schedule, but I also think that it has to do with Freddie Kitchens as well. It's his first year as head coach. And I still think the Browns will win the division just because the Browns will be a 10-6 and the Ravens will be a 9-7. And then the Browns will probably be knocked out in the first round of the playoffs.
First round
in
of
the
playoffs.
wild card game.
So, do we think there's any chance the Bengals or Steelers could sneak in this division?
No way. I mean,
Not at all.
Yeah, not without Big Ben with the Steelers, and I mean Andy Dalton hasn't. I mean, no, the Bengals aren't going to get it done. The Steelers aren't going to get it done. It's a 2-team race, but they're 2 mediocre to good teams. They're not going to go and wow you. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. I think it's the weakest division in the NFL, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I just think the Ravens
So,
take it.
Kyle, I want to touch on Nick Chubb. Is he the MVP of this team? He had 180 yards yesterday and 3 touchdowns. I mean, he's looking to put the team on his back in a struggling offense.
I don't think that there is a true MVP on this Browns offense because I think each week someone else is going to show out. Do you realize what I'm saying? Sometimes Jarvis Landry's going to have a big game. Odell Beckham's going to have a big game. Nick Chubb will have a big game. Maybe Baker Mayfield will have a big game. There's just so much talent on that Browns offense. It just matters who shows up which week, and it just matters which defense allows which player to have the most success.
What do you make of Chubb's performance?
Yeah, I think you have to run your offense through Chubb. I mean, Baker's only in his second year. I think there was a lot of hype coming into the season. But if you can run the ball and establish an offense and then get Baker going, I think it's a lot better for the team. You can't just rely on him to throw the ball 50 times a game. If you can get Chubb going, that's where they're going to succeed.
Something I want to really quickly touch on, Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, both drafted in the same year, both went to Georgia. Who is the better running back?
Sony Michel.
You think Sony Michel?
Actually, talent-wise, I do think Nick Chubb is better, but just based off the system, I think Sony Michel is a better running back for the long haul.
No way. Sony hasn't been able to get anything going all season. He's been getting the volume, but no yards. He's got a touchdown on the year. Chubb's more explosive. He can catch the ball. Sony doesn't have a pass target all season. In today's NFL, Chubb's what you want to roll with, and I think we've seen that.
I think Sony Michel's a better running back for today's game. I do think Nick Chubb is more of a power down, first and second down back, not really a third down back. It's just that the Patriots running backs are running back by committee. You have James White, Sony Michel, Rex Burkhead. If you put Sony Michel in any other offense where you get the bulk of the carries, I feel like he would have a lot more success.
Yeah, but you don't get to do that. I mean, he's on the Patriots. He's dealing with that, and that's all you have to work with. And I mean, he's been leading his team in carries every game. If they're running the ball, it's going to Sony Michel. James White's going to go to the pass game. Rex Burkhead, same, is going to get more receptions. But as far as a runner, Sony's going to get the ball on that team, and he hasn't been able to been as good as Chubb all season.
But the question was, who is the better running back for today's NFL? And I still think it's Sony Michel. He just doesn't get enough carries and enough touches.
I think it's Chubb. I mean, Sony doesn't catch the ball. In today's game as a running back, you need to catch the ball. If you can't catch, you're so limited in today's NFL.
The Patriots don't give him a chance to catch the ball. That's all James White on third down. Put Sony Michel in on third down, see what happens.
Man, there's a reason they don't do it.
I do see both sides of it, but I mean, a lot of people gave Jordan Howard the same criticism, and the Eagles giving him a chance to be a pass catcher, and he's actually catching the ball. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Real quick, though, what was your biggest takeaway from this week's NFL?
I think it was the Cowboys finally coming back down to earth. I mean, obviously, I love to see it, but they had a cupcake schedule the first 3 games, and then you go play a Saints team with a backup quarterback, and the Cowboys scored, 10 points?
Yep.
But
and they didn't allow
score
a touchdown.
yeah.
Kyle?
I think we saw how good the Bills are, actually. Yes, they lost by 6 points to the Patriots, but we showed how good that Bills defense was this week.
All right. Well, I know Kyle Graham will love to hear that because I told him I'd shout him out if they won, but they didn't. But I'll still shout him out anyways. All right. That's all the time we have for the NFL today. But there's still one more game this week. Check our Twitter poll and vote for who you think will win tonight's contest between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. Stick with us because after the break, we switch fields and jump into the NCAA.
I'm in charge of the meeting this week. So you know what we're going to talk about? Basketball. The second thing we're going to talk about this week is basketball. Okay? And the third and last thing we're going to talk about is basketball.
Yeah. God. Yeah. It's ridiculous. I want to quit. Can I quit? Ha. Take that.
Look at the screen. What are we talking about this week?
Basketball.
And we're back. I'm still joined by Chris Chan and Kyle DeWitt. All right, boys, let's jump into some college football. The Clemson Tigers are thanking their lucky stripes today after winning by the skin of their paws in a 21-20 win over North Carolina Saturday afternoon. Quarterback Trevor Lawrence threw for a measly 206 yards and found the end zone only once. The Tar Heels scored a touchdown to bring the deficit to 1 with less than 2 minutes to go, but Max Brown's gamble to go for 2 did not pay off as Clemson held off UNC to come out on top. Despite the win, however, Clemson did fall to number 2 in the AP poll. Kyle, what did we learn about the Tigers this past Saturday?
It's just that they haven't gelled as a team yet. They're still trying to replace a lot of people from that last year's squad that had so many good players on defense. And they're still trying to replace all those players, and I just don't think that they've gelled together as a team yet.
Chris?
I think, honestly, they're just bored. I mean, the talent on that team is through the roof, and the ACC is so bad. It's just, honestly, just getting them through the ACC into the playoff. You still have Trevor Lawrence. You still have Etienne at running back and T. Higgins at receiver. They're going to be fine. If anything, it showed that they have the toughness to grind out a tough game. But I honestly just think they're bored. Like, they're going to end up in the playoff, and they're going to be fine. There's no reason to panic.
So we're saying no way Clemson loses the game?
I don't think Clemson will lose the game, but I also do think that North Carolina turned some heads. Yes, they're 2-2, and they lost to somebody
App
else.
State.
They lost to Appalachian State at home. But it shows that North Carolina could compete with anybody. And in Mac Brown's first season, it can show that a lot can happen in the future for them.
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it's more of an important game for UNC than Clemson. But like I said, it really doesn't mean anything to me that it was a close game for Clemson. Yeah, it came down to the last play of the game. So you probably didn't want to get that close. But
that's something I want to touch on, the last play, the 2-point conversion. Was it the right call, yes or no?
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
It was absolutely the right call, just the wrong play call.
That's what I was going to say. The play call was a disaster. We're running a triple option. Chris? Like,
yeah, I mean,
I don't even.
like, they just outthought themselves. I don't know. I mean, you just got to, I guess, dumb it down, make it a simple play. You only need 2 yards. I mean, a 2-point conversion isn't that difficult. But to run a triple option, that play was never going to work. I mean, yeah, I just think they outsmarted themselves maybe, overthought it. But, yeah, it was not the right play call.
I still think they should have called an outside zone play. That's what had been working for them all day, and I still think they should have stuck to that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, something. Even like the Philly special, that seems to work against everyone for some reason.
Always got to talk about the Eagles. Always got to.
Well, no, technically Pitt did it against UCF last, technically, which hurts. But you
Still
know what?
Pennsylvania.
Let's jump over to the Big 12. Jalen Hurts is raising eyebrows with his sheer dominance. The Oklahoma quarterback threw for 415 yards and 3 touchdowns in OU's 55-16 win over Texas Tech. The Sooners have yet to show weakness, but still sit on the outside looking in on the top 4. Chris, should Oklahoma be in the top 4?
Absolutely. I mean, look at what Jalen Hurts has transformed from going to Alabama to Oklahoma. He's the clear-cut Heisman favorite as of right now, and their offense is flying. They should be a top 4 team, and I think they will as soon as they play and beat Texas and then win the Big 12. But it's just going to take some time because so far Georgia's looked good, LSU's looked good, Ohio State's looked good, but Oklahoma should be in the top 4, and they're going to end up in the playoff when it's all said and done.
There are 3 teams in the playoff scenario right now that are in the SEC. Alabama still has to play LSU. Georgia still has to play SEC championship versus one of those 2 teams. They still got to play Florida. Auburn still got to play Alabama. I mean, I just think Oklahoma's going to cruise through the Big 12, and I think that they'll end up in the playoff once again. All those SEC teams are going to take each other out. There might be 2 teams in the SEC that make it to the playoff, but all those teams that are there right now will not be there by the time we hit playoff time.
So what do we think of Jalen Hurts' character? We saw it after week 1. He said in his post-game interview, "I'm not impressed. It was not a good win. We have a lot of work to do." After Saturday's win, he was in the weight room minutes after destroying Texas Tech. What does this say about him as a leader?
Yeah, I mean, you just look at the transformation from Alabama. Lincoln Riley's done an incredible job year after year. I mean, there's a 3rd quarterback now. Jalen Hurts at Alabama could not throw the ball, like at all. And now you look at him this year, and he's starting it with the best of them. Obviously, his running will always be amazing. But the way that Lincoln Riley's been able to get him to perform is incredible. Never did I think he would be a Heisman candidate, and now he's a favorite as of through 5 weeks. But, yeah, it's just crazy how he's transformed his game.
Jalen Hurts at Alabama proved that he's a winner. He's a leader. He's a winner. And he learned that winning mentality at Alabama. That's something that Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray didn't have, both coming from Texas Tech. They didn't know about a winning mentality transferring to Oklahoma. Now, there's a winning mentality, and you have Lincoln Riley as your coach. I think OU might actually win the chip.
I don't know about that.
I
They still
lo-
don't have a defense.
I
They
root
still don't
for
have a
OU
defense.
every year because I like offense.
They're fun to watch, but they don't have a defense, and you're not going to beat Alabama, and you're not going to beat Clemson, and you're going to have to play one of those two teams in the semis.
Jalen Hurts is on a mission. He wants to go beat Alabama. He lost the starting job in the national championship game to Tua Tagovailoa, and if they somehow meet in the playoffs, I don't think Jalen Hurts loses that game.
Do you think Saban's going to let that happen? After letting Jalen Hurts walk to Oklahoma, there's no way. He's the best coach in college football history. He's not going to let a quarterback who they sent out the door beat him in the national championship.
I still think
They're not going to get past either Clemson or
it is
Alabama
a
in the semis.
typical storybook Hollywood ending. I think Jalen Hurts gets his dub. I think that he gets his revenge.
Yeah, but Saban's there to crush the dreams, as he always is. I mean,
Out to
year
crush
after
the
year,
dreams.
Alabama, you can say what you want, but they're going to be there at the end of the year, every year.
Clemson crushed Alabama's dreams last year. So I think Alabama is on the come down. I don't think they're still one of the top 3 teams in college football. They always will be. But as of right now, I don't think that they are the best team in college football. I still think it is Clemson, Oklahoma, and then Alabama.
No, I just don't see any way that Oklahoma can get past Alabama. They don't have the defense to stop them. And, so Alabama's going to be able to score on Oklahoma's defense whenever they want.
Oklahoma's defense is playing a lot better statistically than they were last year.
That's not hard
Granted,
to
they've
do.
only played Texas Tech and UCLA, but we'll see against Texas. Maybe I'll have a better understanding of Oklahoma.
It's
after
not hard to
Texas.
do much better than their defense was last year. I mean, maybe they're not letting up 60 points a game, but, it wasn't hard to do better than last year.
Instead of the 92nd rated defense, I think they're in somewhere in the 40s or the 50s
Yeah,
right now,
until they play better
which is
teams.
respectable when you have the top offense in college football.
Yeah, and Bama's up there. They're going to score 70 on them in the playoff and then run through them like they always do.
But then yet again, Alabama hasn't played a defense yet either.
I don't know either. I just want the games to happen. I want everything to go on. And honestly, college football playoffs is going to be exciting. While this past weekend might not have shaken up the polls too much, this weekend certainly will. It's headlined by a top 10 matchup of 2 SEC rivals. The 7th-ranked Auburn Tigers find themselves with a chance to start the season 6-0 if they can travel into Gainesville and beat the 10th-ranked Florida Gators. The Gators are coming off blowout wins over Tennessee and Towson, in which they allowed a combined 3 points. This will be the first major test for the Gators and quarterback Kyle Trask, who will start his 3rd game for UF. Chris, who do you got in this game?
So I have Auburn winning the game. It basically just comes down to Auburn's beat 2 really good teams already. They've beat Oregon and they've beat Texas A&M with a freshman quarterback in Bo Nix. I don't think Florida's on that level yet. Obviously, their offense has always been an issue, and I think Auburn's going to be able to exploit that, and they're going to win probably by 10 to 14 points.
This is Bo Nix's first real true test to me. I don't think both teams were prepared, Oregon and Auburn, in that Week 1 matchup, and I honestly don't think that Texas A&M is a top 25 team. I think that they are the most overrated team in college football.
Agreed.
This is Bo Nix's best chance to show critics wrong, especially going against that Florida defense. That Florida defense carries themselves. Florida might score only 24 points a game, but they only allow 10 points a game. So I have Florida winning this game. I don't think that Auburn's going to roll into Gainesville and show Florida Gators wrong.
I think we've seen this year after year with Florida. As soon as you start to believe in them, they show you who they really are, and it's a team that can't score the ball. And that's going to come through. I mean, we've been saying, oh, this is the Bo Nix game for what seems like 3 weeks now. I mean, they just blew out Mississippi State. I don't think anyone saw that as big a blowout as it was either.
This is a completely different Florida team. I don't think that Felipe Franks was the answer. I think Kyle Trask is the answer. He's already lost his starting job twice. Last year, when he had the starting job under his belt, he broke his foot. So now that he finally gets his chance, he has been playing great, and I think that he's going to finally show everybody who Kyle Trask really is.
It just kind of seems like the same thing year after year. It kind of reminds me of Michigan. You want to believe in them and you want to think this is the year, and then the same old thing happens every single year. They go right back to what they are, a good defense who can't score the ball and then lose the big game.
These are the critics that Florida wants to prove wrong on Saturday.
They haven't been able to do it yet.
I will say Tigers have been known to cause havoc in the swamp before. We've seen Missouri do it year after year. But what do we think? This is Bo Nix's first road game of the year. Forget the big test. His first, true road game.
Especially in the swamp, too. The swamp is one of the most hostile environments in all of college football. And I don't know if Bo Nix will be able to handle it, especially against that Florida Gator defense. They're top 5 in the nation.
Yeah, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bo Nix so far has shown to me that he has that swagger about him. He has that big game feel about him, and he's going to show up on Saturday again like he's done every game so far this year and beat the Gators again. I don't think they're a top 10 team in the nation. It's about time they finally fall back to where they're supposed to be.
Let's highlight right now better quarterback, Kyle Trask, Bo Nix.
Oh, I think it's Bo Nix all the way. I do think Bo Nix has that swagger about him. He is going to be a Heisman contender by his junior or senior year. But as of right now, I don't think Bo Nix is at that level yet to go win a big game on the road.
Okay,
he could not travel to Alabama and win. He could not travel to LSU and win. And I don't think he could travel to Florida and win yet.
All right, so
There's a
Kyle's
big difference
saying-
between
yeah,
Alabama and LSU and going to Florida. I mean, there was like Alabama and LSU were separating themselves from the entire nation so far, but they're not. Florida's not on that level. And I do agree with you. Bo Nix will be a Heisman candidate by the time it's all said and done. But this year, I think he's already proving that he can show up in a big game and perform.
So, Chris, what are some things that Kyle Trask does well to lead this Gators team to a win?
Well, I think he has to protect the ball. He has to throw the ball well. Can't turn the ball over, and just kind of manage the game, I would say. Their defense their defense will perform. I just don't think their offense is going to be able to score enough.
I feel like this is going to be one of those 24-20 games, not a lot of points, and whichever quarterback makes the least amount of mistakes is who's going to win. And that is the one thing we have seen from Kyle Trask. He does not make mistakes. He knows how to make his reads, and he knows where everybody's going to be on every single play and who's going to be open. He knows how to read a defense. And Bo Nix and Kyle Trask don't have the experience, but I think right now Kyle Trask is the one that is playing at a higher level than Bo Nix.
I don't think so. I just think Bo Nix has that big game feel about him. And if Trask is just going to manage the game the whole way, then is he going to make that big play at the end? That's the only question that you have.
He now has the UF record for most completions in a row at 18. He did that last week versus Towson. So he knows how to read a defense. He knows who is going to be open. And if you know how to read a defense, it doesn't matter if it's Towson or Auburn. You're going to be able to make plays.
Especially with
Michael Pirine in the backfield and that running attack. I still think, even with Auburn's defensive line, one of the best in the nation, I do think Florida's going to be able to put up points.
I don't know. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Closing thoughts?
Yeah, I just think it's Auburn all day. I think this is the same Florida team we see year in and year out.
Kyle, quickly, who's your winner?
I think Florida is going to be down by 14 in the second half, and they come back and win by a field goal.
A comeback win by a field goal. You heard it here first from Kyle DeWitt. All right, boys. That's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for your insight. Also, be sure to check out our Twitter page to see the second entry of the HTF College Football Poll. And be sure to vote in our Monday Night Football poll, closing in just a few minutes. Stay with us because in just a few minutes, for the first time this season, I will be joined by two panelists to talk MLB playoffs. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, I'm Dave Jeffrey, attorney at law. Has your favorite team ever left you feeling sad, disappointed, or even a little angry? Don't you feel like you should be compensated for it? Just take a look at these real testimonials from my real clients. After Tyrod Taylor led the Bills to the playoffs for the first time in 17 years, I was the happiest I'd ever been. And then the Bills traded him, and I wanted to die. But thanks to Dave, I found my will to live again. Yo, Kevin Durant's a bitch. When he said his mom was the MVP, I was so pissed. He put up 30 a game, not her. Same time, I knew my boy Dave would be able to get me some quick cash. Thanks, Dave Jeffrey. I've helped millions of people, and chances are I might be able to help you too.
I hate David Jeffries. My whole family died in a car crash, but he gave all my money away to a Saints fan because of some blown pass interference call. Thanks, Dav.
Aren't you mad when KD went to the Warriors?
Nah, that's pretty chill. Give me a call at 888-888-888, crying emoji, and I can fix your sports misery too.
Please call the number on your screen today if you are experiencing any grief, sadness, or even if another fan has hurt your feelings. All you have to do is provide your credit card number, the 3 silly digits on the back, and the expiration month and year. This is not a scam. Doop-de-doop.
Yo, guys, I can't even imagine what it's like to be a Saints fan right now.
Dude,
I'd be so
guys,
mad.
I can't believe that ridiculous no call.
Bro, I'm puzzled. If they would have made that call, who do you think would have been the Super Bowl? The Saints would have been the Super Bowl. Come on now.
The refs, they need to be punished.
Oh, hey guys. Did you see my missed call last week? Could have sent that team to the championship. I guess not.
I can't take this anymore.
What's up with this guy?
And we are back. I'm now joined by the one, the only, Charlie Reyes. Charlie, how are you doing?
I'm feeling great, man. Great to be back with my guy, Johnny Jackson, my man, Jaret.
I was about to say, on the other side, we're joined by the rookie, Johnny Jackson. Best name in the business. Johnny, how you doing?
I'm really excited, First time on, let's get it.
All right, let's get it. Tomorrow starts the most wonderful time of the year. And no, it's not Christmas. It's the postseason on the diamond. For the next month, dreams will be crushed and heroes will become legends. It all begins with the NL wildcard game between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Washington Nationals. The Brewers are limping into the postseason. The team lost Christian Yelich to a knee injury earlier this month and were swept by the Colorado Rockies this weekend. Meanwhile, the Nationals are red hot, winning their final 8 games of the regular season. The Nats' winning streak has awarded them home field for this game, and the team will trot out former Cy Young Award winner Max Scherzer. The Brewers are going to start Brandon Woodruff, who just came off the disabled list 2 weeks ago after missing most of the second half of this season. Charlie, who do you like in this game?
Man, I really, really like the Nationals simply because they're coming in way hotter. You know, they're winning 9 out of 10 games, like you said. And, you know, I really think I don't think Scherzer should start game 1, even though that's their ace. I really like Strasburg this year. You know, he has over 230 Ks. I really like him this year. Scherzer hasn't had his, you know, Cy Young year as he usually does. But, you know, guys like Anthony Rendon, Juan Soto, they're going to be big in this game, and I got the Nationals winning.
We can
easy.
see both of them. It's a best of one.
I think so because also the Nationals are home. So home field advantage, they're going to win.
Johnny Jackson.
So the Nationals have been hot, but not Max Scherzer. He's given up 17 runs in his last 5 starts,
That's
6
what I'm
home
saying.
runs.
I wish he wasn't starting that game.
And Brandon Woodruff, since he's gotten off the IL, he hasn't given up a run.
Okay, I'm not. He hasn't faced anybody, so I'm eh.
I mean, Max Scherzer really hasn't faced that many people either.
The NL East is pretty strong, so unlike the Central's alright, but you know the NL East got pretty good teams. You got the Braves, you know the Phillies. Phillies weren't that great, but you know.
The Phillies' offense was good. It's just that their pitching just kind of.
Pitching, bullpen terrible.
So Johnny, who's winning this game?
Oh, the Brewers for sure. You got Brandon Woodruff, then you got Josh Hader. The second Josh Hader comes into the game,
don't talk to me about Josh Hader.
The second Josh Hader comes into the game, skip 3 innings. The Nationals
you know how
are
many
not
blown
scoring.
saves Hader has? He has like over 10 blown saves.
Anthony Rendon is hitting under 250 since September 1st.
Okay, Anthony Rendon is probably gonna get Rookie of the Year. I don't care about Pete
Rookie
Alonso.
of the Year?
Yes.
He's been in the league for 3 years.
My bad, not Rendon. I'm thinking somebody else. My bad.
Rendon's a free agent next year, man.
So Hader did blow game 161, gave up a home run in the bottom of the 9th, and then also going into the last series, the Brewers were 16-2 without Yelich, but had the worst batting average in baseball. Charlie, do the Brewers find an offense with Ryan Braun, who might not play, and Lorenzo Cain, who sprained an ankle?
Lorenzo Cain sprained ankle? I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
wow.
game 161.
Okay, so they're definitely not winning now because Lorenzo Cain, big defense. Who's going to play center?
He is questionable to play.
He's questionable. He's probably going to play. You know, you're going to need Lorenzo Cain. You know, he won the World Series with the Royals. So, you know what I'm saying? He has that World Series experience, big game experience. But without Ryan Braun, that's a leader in the clubhouse. And without Yelich, that's literally your anchor in your offense. You're definitely not going to win. There's not going to be no type of spark. They're going to get rocked early in the game. And I don't think Brewers' bullpen is going to to hold up.
So, Johnny,
Hader isn't good.
With Hader,
let's be clear.
The outfield might be out. That might be.
Yeah, but the Brewers already beat Max Scherzer in Washington in May. Yeah. So I really think the Brewers got this. I mean, sir, they might not have Yelich, but they have a lot of talent.
Okay.
There's a lot of talent in that lineup. They're going to surprise a lot of people.
So, Johnny, what do you like the most? Like their bullpen, their starting pitching? What's like the best thing about the Brewers going into this game?
I like their lineup. Their starting rotation has always been the Brewers' like iffy point. Their bullpen's good.
I'm gonna give you that. The Brewers bullpen. Not the bullpen. Their starting rotation has completely turned it around. September at 2.77 ERA within the whole year from April to August. They had an ERA from like 4.68. They've definitely turned it around in September, but they're still not gonna win. I'm sorry, my man. I'm sorry.
I have to disagree with you, Charlie.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, boys. Well, you know what? Let's jump into Wednesday because that's the AL's turn. The Tampa Bay Rays will make their first playoff appearance since 2013 they travel to Oakland and face the A's. It's been a non-probable run for the 96-win Rays, a team with the lowest payroll on paper that probably shouldn't have amounted over a 500% win percentage. But an impressive last week have given them a playoff spot. For Oakland, the team is looking for redemption. The A's lost the wildcard game in 2014 and 2018, but both of those came on the road. Wednesday's game will play from the Bay, giving the A's an advantage. The home team has won the AL wildcard game the 4 out of the last 5 seasons. Johnny Jackson, who's taking this one?
I was going to say, both these teams have been incredibly fun to watch this year, but I'm going with the boys from the Bay. Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, They're going to run the Rays ragged.
Guys like Marcus Simeon's been really good this year. He's possible MVP candidate. But honestly, I really don't. You know why I don't like the A's winning? A's, they have a bunch of wins this year against crappy teams. The AL West is just a terrible division beyond the Astros.
The Rays get to play the Orioles.
Don't start with me about the Orioles. Don't start with the Orioles.
The worst team in the MLB.
There's 3 good teams in the AL East. There's the Yankees. There's the Yankees, there's the Rays, and there's the Red Sox. There's 3 good teams.
The Blue Jays and the Orioles being
Blue Jays are a pretty good team, but you got to remember.
The Blue Jays are young. The Blue Jays are young.
They are young, but you got to remember who they're facing. They're facing the mighty Yankees. They're facing the defending champs, the Red Sox, and you know what I'm saying?
The defending champs who lost their best pitcher halfway through the year and don't have a bullpen.
Okay, they don't have a bullpen, but it's still a hard division. The AL West is not good, so I don't care. I don't care that they have home field.
The AL West has the best team in baseball right now.
They have the best team.
And the Rangers are really good for their record.
Okay, they're all right. They're all right. They're not. They're still not very good.
Lance Lynn and
Lance Lynn is a scrub because he's playing terrible comp. I'm trying to tell you, bro. AL West is not good. They're not good. Why do you think? I'm gonna bring it back to the Yankees real quick. Yankees had all these injuries, hardest division in baseball, and they're still getting all these wins.
The AL East is overhyped.
It's not overhyped.
It's overhyped.
It's not overhyped.
I would say the AL East is the best division in
That's why I'm going with the Rays, because they've been facing better comp all year, facing way harder teams, resilient team. Austin Meadows looking great. You got Tommy Pham. He's doing great this season. You know what I'm saying? And the A's strike out way too much for my liking. A
strikeout's the same as any other out.
No, it's okay. It's a strikeout as any other out, but they don't hit very good in runners in scoring position. When they get guys in second and third, they don't really score them in. Chris Davis is hitting 220 this year.
All right. That's Chris Davis. That's one guy. Okay, who's winning the regular season?
Simeon's doing good this year.
The Oakland A's are 4-3 in the regular season matches.
Okay, and two of those games it's extra inning one run win games.
But who won?
Okay, the A's won. That means it's gonna be a very equally matched game, but it's gonna be a real toss up. I'm telling you.
Charlie Morton going. We like him pitching.
I love Charlie Morton. He's so good.
He's so good.
I saw him pitch against the Orioles, and I went there with a couple of my friends to go see him against the Orioles. It wasn't even fair.
No, the Orioles suck.
The Orioles are bad.
I've seen 2 Rays games live this year facing the Yankees. One went to extra innings, and one they completely dominated the Yankees late in the game. Mind you, they had the injuries, but I'm telling you, the Rays are a resilient team. Do not sleep on the Rays. I predicted them not even winning 90 games this year. They won 96. The A's are supposed to be where they're at.
Listen, the Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Marcus Semien.
I love them. They're not going to win.
Oh, they're going to carry that team.
They're not. Okay, I don't care if they're in the Bay or not. You know what's really good? These are both 2 teams that have low attendance each game. So it's going to be great to put on a national scale. But, I got the Rays, man. East Coast boy. Oh, East boy. Come on.
All 5 Rays fans in you?
All 5. I'm not really a Rays fan, but I don't want the Bay to win because I really think the Rays can give an Astros a little fuss in the ALDS. A's not so much because the Astros have faced them so much this season. They're gonna sweep them. I need the Astros
But the A's have also faced the Astros a lot this season.
That's what I mean.
They've seen all their pitching.
Okay, but they haven't. I don't even think they won the year series with them.
No, but we've always said baseball's about surviving. Who's the healthiest? Who's the hottest? Going into the week.
And the Rays are coming in hotter than the A's. Let's be clear.
But what's your score prediction?
My score prediction? Let's say it's gonna be a close game. 6-5.
6-5.
I'm thinking 4-3 A's.
4-3 A's.
Yeah, it's gonna be a close game.
I'm taking the Rays.
You're taking
baby.
the Rays.
I'm taking the A's. Do you think it's extra innings?
Possible.
I think
and if it goes extra innings, okay. If it goes extra innings, I've seen the Rays fold in extra innings a lot. So if it goes to extra innings, I'm gonna give it to the A's. But I'm telling you, we've seen it just how it was last year. You get up to a hot start against the A's, what happens? Fold. What happened last year in the wild card?
They both had the wild card game. Liam Hendricks had no business starting that game last year.
In 2014, the A's lost in extras to the Royals, who ended up going to the World Series that year. Like, the A's were talented. So
they are very talented. I just don't think they don't know how to win. I think the Rays they haven't been in the playoffs in a while, but I just don't believe the A's know how to win in big situations. So I don't give it to them.
They're gonna win in a big situation on Tuesday. On Wednesday.
Closing thoughts, impact player for both teams.
Marcus Semien.
Okay.
Last year he made a big jump defensively. This year he's made a big jump offensively.
Great. He's hitting great, over 100 RBIs.
Charlie, you're big.
Austin Meadows rakes. I've seen Buddy in 2 games hit 3 home runs.
I want them both to go deep.
They're probably gonna go deep. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Mine is Matt Chapman. I just like the guy. He's a nice one.
Matt
But
Chapman's
He's cool.
you can't
He's a good
hate him.
defender.
It's going to be fun, though.
It's going to be a great game.
I know I am looking forward to some postseason baseball this year. Also, make sure to check out the HTF podcast hosted by Jeremy Brenner. We're going to have an MLB special episode tomorrow. You won't want to miss that. Check our Twitter and YouTube page to get a notification when that episode goes live. When we come back, I'll reveal the results to our Twitter poll for the Monday Night Football game. See you soon.
Good morning, fellas, except for Andre.
KG in the building.
James Harden is a stat pack.
That is not, you're right.
He's the best scorer.
He has 120 straight points.
Bro, 120 straight points now. He doesn't pass.
All right, let's do this. Let's get down to business, guys.
You still got Aaron Gordon, PJ Tucker, and them boys. Come on now. What about Carlos?
Tom Brady gets the sun.
Facts.
I think it's kind of special, though.
What? What are you talking about, man? Crazy, man.
I'll never say that. This is your dad.
I look on my iPad. I barely looked at it.
You've made it to the end, and the results are in. You guys said the Steelers will win tonight's rivalry matchup 55% to 45%. That's honestly going to be a close one. All right, gentlemen. Tonight, the zero must go as two winless foes face off in Pittsburgh. Both the Bengals and Steelers are searching for their first wins of the season. Fellas, who's coming out on top? Johnny Jackson, I'll start with you.
Well, I think both teams are going to lose this game.
It's really a terrible game to watch. I have much better things to do than watch the Bengals and the Steelers play tonight.
I think I'd rather just watch that graphic for 4 hours than watch that
It's a
football
pretty
game.
graphic because I made it. But Charlie, I mean, it could end in a tie. I don't
Honestly,
think I would care.
I got Pittsburgh winning. You know, Mason Randall's been looking good the last 2 weeks. The Bengals are in trouble. Big trouble. Andy Dalton, if he doesn't have a decent season this year, the Bengals are going to cut him. He's ran out of guaranteed money in his contract. He's playing on performance incentives. So now the Bengals are free to cut him at the end of the season, middle of the season, wherever. I think by next year he's going to be a backup. Andy Dalton, for his first 5 years in the league, he took the team to the playoffs. Yes, the Bengals are not giving him many weapons to work with, but he needs to do something. You know, his coach just got fired last year. His new coach, I don't think the system is working. Mixon isn't doing anything. Mixon was a decent running back last year.
Yeah, I would agree. Johnny,
I'm with Charlie here. I mean, the Steelers have been playing kind of 3.5 quarters of football for most of the games this season. I think they got to put it together. They have to put it together, and I think Monday Night Football is the right stage for them to put it together.
I mean, really, only one thing.
I think Connor will have a big game.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, the only thing that really changed for them was losing Antonio Brown. Like, at the start, they still had Big Ben and, all that, but they still looked terrible. They did better with Rudolph in at quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean,
they do. I think the offense is getting more fluid. You know, he lost a few close games. I think now if Randolph, he's getting more of a feel of the system. And I think now Connor's definitely going to have a big game. And honestly, I think Andy Dalton's going to fold. That Bengals defense is just not good. It's not going to hold up. It's still going to be a low-scoring game because these are both two of the worst offenses in the league.
Yeah. And two very bad defenses.
Very bad defenses. You know, mind you, Bengals happen to be second yards per game in the league, but they're literally last in rushing because Mixon can't do anything.
Speaking of this rivalry game, Burfict will not be in the game, let alone he won't be in the rest of the NFL season. It was announced he was suspended for the rest of the year for his hit on Jack Doyle. Is that a little too harsh? Real quick.
Maybe.
I think he's a repeat offender. You got to protect the guys, man. You know, we seen guys 2 weeks ago, 3 guys get knocked out in one weekend.
That was in one game, actually.
It was one game. You know what I'm saying? It's really bad. So, and Pittsburgh's gonna win. They won 8 out of the last meetings with the Bengals.
I think they were looking for a guy to kind of put up as like an example kind of for everybody.
Definitely, for sure.
And they found him and they're like, all right,
they're like, yo, you're a repeat offender. You're gone.
It's kind of harsh though. I mean, 12 games.
Yeah, I just feel like they're trying to set a precedent.
Honestly, it's I feel like more people are gonna still hit below the knees now. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's gonna even come close to the head now. Even worse.
All right. Well, guys, I got to say, I appreciate everyone's insight today. And thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Hitting the Field. Later today, we're going to have our second episode of Might I Add with Kyle Partain and Connor Dowd. Tomorrow, our MLB edition of the podcast will go live. Head to social media, like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube page at Hitting the Field. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Hitting the Field. On behalf of everyone behind the scenes at HTF, I'm Jaret Kappelman, and we'll see you next Monday at noon. Thank you so much. You guys are your neighbors.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it